Hi everyone and welcome to your pelvic stability video. So in this video, I just want us to bring awareness to our pelvic floor. So it's something that is very important, extremely important actually, in your Pilates practice. If you don't have a good pelvic control or awareness, there is a chance that in your abdominal exercises, especially on the mat work, you're going to be taking load into your lower back. Now, if you have any kind of back condition, which is extremely common, you're going to be putting more and more pressure into that lower back. So it may even increase the pain instead of help the pain. So it's extremely important. Your pelvic floor and your glutes and your pelvic area is a part of your core in Pilates. So it doesn't just stop at your abdominals. We know we're not even just focusing on the rectus, your 8-pack. It's your rectus abdominals, your internal and external obliques, and most importantly is your transverse in Pilates. So it's a full corset abdominal that wraps around your body. But including in that core, so those are your abdominals, the core includes the pelvic floor and your pelvic stability. Now, what happens sometimes is people can have great awareness of their abdominal muscles, but very bad awareness of the pelvic floor and the pelvic area. And you can have an extremely strong stomach muscle, but still be experiencing lower back pain just because of your pelvic placement. So ladies, it happens more, but we swing back into that lower back area. Okay. And all that is doing is putting pressure there and weakening into this area. So it's finding that neutral alignment. It's not a tuck. You're not tucking under, because just be aware that a tuck, when you're squeezing into the glutes and tucking under, you can again put pressure on that lower back. So different Pilates practices will call it different things. In my classes, I either call it your neutral spine or an imprinted spine. So that is where we are in the middle. We're not arching back, but we're not tucking forward. We're finding that happy medium between sticking out, getting everything in alignment, but not pushing it so far forward that we tuck. So I want you to get onto your knees now and just play with that. It's kind of your cat-cow, but kneeling. And you'll find that often we're sitting back here. Okay, your rib cage have splayed open. I need you to close those. And by closing the rib cage, you should automatically pull in. But watch that you're not squeezing into the glutes and forcing it in, that you collapse into the torso. So finding neutral, which is there. And this neutral line is what you continuously want to be in. When you're walking, when you're running, when you're sitting, when you're standing, especially standing, waiting, everyone kind of sits into one leg, sits back into their back like this. Mommies or grandparents or daddies carrying kids around, we swing back into the back. So you need to be really focused that you are pulling that in and that you're rather using your tummy muscles to hold up that extra weight. Okay? Right, so this is the neutral that I want you in. And what that is, it's the zipping up of the pelvic floor. So you're imagining that you've got your tightest pair of jeans on. You've drawn the belly button back towards the spine. The hips aren't arching back. They've come forward. We're lengthening into the hip flexors. We haven't collapsed into the torso. Rib cage is closed, belly button's in, and we've zipped up. So from the pubic bone up to the belly button, we're zipping up. Okay, it's that lifting feeling. Like I said, you just put on your tightest pair of jeans and you're just trying to keep them on. So just try not to let that button pop. So before you do every class, imagine that you've got that tight pair of jeans on and you got to keep that button going and stuck on the whole time. Okay, it's more important. So it's important when we standing, doing any kind of standing work. It is still very important. And even on our sideline work, so in some of our classes, we might kneel over and work here. Again, from the side view, you're still in that neutral alignment. You're not swinging back. Maybe this side is a better way to show you. So neutrals here, you haven't swung back and taken the hips. You'll feel it automatically then pull into your back. So if you're feeling your back, you need to come forward. You need to zip up, bring those hips forward, lengthen into the hip flexors here. Draw that belly button back and you'll find that everything is coming from the core. Nothing's sticking. The rib cages aren't splayed out. The lower back's not taking strain. But where we really need to focus on it is when we're lying on our back, because lying on our back in our supine position is often when we are doing stomach work. So we're loading pressure onto the abdominal wall. And if you're not in that neutral or imprinted spine, like I said earlier, it's all going into the lower back and it can make problems worse. So your imprint or your neutral, when you lie down, just lie down according to your spine. And now everyone is different. Some people have a really big curvature. Other people don't. But what I want you to do is pull, don't press your back down. I want you to pull the belly button up towards your rib cage and then glue it back to your spine. And as you do that, you've pulled the pelvic floor up. And then your lower back should have flattened. And that's finding neutral by not just pushing our spine down, but we're using the pelvic floor muscles to draw up towards the rib cage, and then we glue it to the spine. And then that lower back flattens. Your bum is relaxed. You are not lifting your bum off the ground. If you've lifted your bum off the ground, you're in a tuck. You need to keep the glutes relaxed. It's all coming from the pelvic floor, not your bum. Okay? Keep the spine flat. So whenever you're doing any kind of abdominal exercises, whether it's single leg stretch or a double leg stretch, your back needs to be flat the entire time. More so when you go into your exhale and where we add the load. So my back is flat. If your back starts to arch, the pressure is too much, you need to change your angle. Still focus on pulling it in, but work at a smaller range, and as you get stronger, you can take that leg further and further down. Even if we're doing, say, the 100, you want to make sure that back is flat. Maybe your 100 is here, maybe your 100 is here. It depends where your back can control it, okay? Always have a flat back. Now, if your pelvic floor isn't as strong and you're finding it extremely difficult, there is a small cheat, although you want to break away from that eventually. It's to have your hands right at the base of your coccyx. So not up here, that is going to make it worse, right at the base. And that just helps you create a little bit of that imprint. Okay, so it allows you to work into the tummy without the back arching because your hands are pushing up a little bit. It's the same thing as if I give you a wedge in a class. So if you've changed your angle and you still can't get that flat back, place the hands right underneath the base. Be careful that you don't place your hands underneath your lower back because you're going to exaggerate that arch. And now another time that arch might not be able to flatten is if you have a curvature of your spine called lordosis. It can be extreme or a mild case. It's just quite a big hollowing in the lower back. It's the way your spine curves. We all have different spines. So naturally, where my natural spine is probably here, when I'm lazy, it's there, but when it's natural, it's here. Your natural spine might be here already. When you're lazy, it's even more so there. You have to work a little bit harder, okay? You have to really try to pull that belly button in, but most of the time, you're probably going to have either a towel rolled up, placed in that little wedge, or using your hands underneath the coccyx to help support you, because your spine just doesn't bend that way. Okay, so if you know that you've got a very hollow lower back, and when you test it now, no matter what you did, you couldn't get it flat, you have to place a little towel there. Again, your towel is right low. Don't put it where your rib cage is. Don't put it in that arch. It's at the base of the arch, okay? Because you're trying to create length and you're not trying to exaggerate that arch. All right. I hope that helped, and it's going to help your practice and allow you to work deeper in your stomach muscle. But even not just in your classes, be aware when you're standing and when you're sitting, especially when you're waiting around. That's when you find you sit back in that lower back, pull it in. And especially those new mommies standing with that weight, our arms get really tired and you just sink back, keep pulling forward, keep pulling forward. It will help release that tension in the lower back that you're creating. All right, good luck with your classes, and I hope that this helped.